Okay, so I'm going to do two videos for you today. One is going to talk about pricing, which is really important, and the other one is going to talk about how to product cost, which is equally important for us, and you'll have to be able to do throughout the semester. So pricing, the reason we look at this is one of the things when you set a menu price is considering a couple different things, and one of those things is called overhead cost. And so I have just pulled up this site because I thought it summarized pretty well things that you have to consider. Overhead costs are things that like you're always going to have to pay for. Now, some of this does not apply to us. Like we don't pay rent, we don't pay utilities, but we still have to pay for ingredients, paper products, like that. So those are things to think about. I'm going to teach you today how to find out the cost of your baking supplies and how important that is. All right. Delivery is not as important to us. Presentation is big. Anything that looks more professional, people are going to be willing to pay a higher price for. All right. Like I said, you guys are really lucky. Rent and utility are not things that we have to think about this semester. But we do in reality, in the real world, if you were to be an entrepreneur, you would have to consider that. All right. And so what you need to do is you kind of, I'm sorry, I forgot to add equipment depreciation. All right. Now, in here, there are times that something will break and we have to use some of our money to repair it, but they're mostly small items. We do not have to like buy a new oven out of your budget this semester. All right. And then distribution costs. And again, we're fortunate enough that we can just walk the items that we make to the teachers' rooms. So there's no distribution cost, but we do always have to figure packaging costs, like the foil pans, the saran wrap or foil. Sometimes we have to have special things that we can package stuff in, like styrofoam containers, and those costs do add up. All right. So those are always things to remember when figuring the price of something you're going to sell. Another thing that you need to consider when you're looking at pricing is obviously in the real world, wages, okay, which we're not going to consider. I'm not going to be paying you guys, but remember, we are trying to earn enough money to go on our field trip. So we need to make sure that we're setting our items at a high enough price that we are making some profit, but also not too high so that we're scaring away our customers. All right. So here's another website I thought was really interesting, kind of just looking at the restaurant industry and some chefs that have been really successful, because remember, we talked about how a lot of small businesses, especially in the restaurant industry, close after 2 or 3 years. So paying really close to your cost and inventory is really important, and we will do that throughout the semester. You will be responsible for inventory. What we'll do is I'll have a running list on the board where you always have to keep track of items that you need. And we also want to make sure that we're not wasting, that we get just what we need. Okay. Now that does mean I typically run to the store more often, or maybe we can't make everything in one day because we want to just kind of wait out and make sure that we're going to actually need more ingredients. Portion size is huge. It is so important that you measure. Even if you've made the same recipe 6 times, it is important that you continuously measure for product control. If at one time you use 1 cup of chocolate chips and the next time you use 2, not only does that change the product as far as what we're distributing, like maybe someone got the chocolate chips with 1, or the cookies with 1 cup chocolate chips, and the other person got the ones with 2, which if they're comparing products is a big difference. But we're also looking at cost. All right. Just because you didn't feel like measuring, we don't think that's not fair to the class as a whole if we're increasing the cost of the recipe by adding extra ingredients that don't need to be in there. Same with waste. One of the ways that we try to decrease waste is being very careful and accurate when we are cooking in the kitchen. Because if we do mess up a product, we obviously can't sell that to our customers. We have in the past, if we have something that's still edible but not, maybe just it doesn't look presentable, we'll sell that at a discounted price to the students. Balancing the menu. This is important as well. Let's say there's something you guys really want to make, but it's really expensive and maybe we're only making a couple cents of profit on that particular item. What we can do is, of the 6 things we're selling that sale, maybe only pick 1 that's expensive to make and we're making little profit, and the other maybe 4 are really cheap for us to make and we'll turn a lot higher profit. So just balancing it out. Pushing items that need to be sold. This is something that you guys do by word of mouth. Okay, you talk to the teachers and say, hey, guess what? We're making brownies. These ones are really good. You should try them out. And we get sales through that. Menu price increases. This is something that's hard. Ingredients fluctuate. a couple weeks ago, the price of eggs was ridiculously cheap. I can't even tell you exactly, but I know it was under $1 for 18 eggs, which is crazy cheap. Just a couple years ago, the same amount of eggs was over $3. It's gone back up again. I want to say it's close to $2 now, depending on where you buy it. But those kind of things affect us, and we just have to try hard not to raise our prices so much that we lose our customers. And so things we can do is look for things that we can substitute in and out. Other things that we do. I shop at Sam's and Walmart for you guys. That's where our school account is. And I do a lot of price comparison. And I'm just going to show you a small example here. This is Walmart. This is a 36-ounce bag of chocolate chips, which is not the normal size one. It's a step up. A normal size you guys are thinking of is about 12 ounces. So this is 36 ounces. And if you look here, it's $6, almost $7. Okay, Walmart, one of the cheapest places to shop around here. If I go to Sam's, I can get a 72-ounce bag of chocolate chips, so double the other size, for only $10. All right? Now, if you look over here, had I got 2 bags to equate the other one, that would be $13 if I got it at Walmart. So shopping at Sam's Club, where I can get bulk items, often saves us money, and I will promise to do that. So these are just a couple tips on pricing. The last thing I do want to talk about is competition. We are competing with local areas that sell baked goods, which for us pretty much is just Kroger anymore. But what we have to remember is if Kroger's selling chocolate chip cookies for $3 a dozen, it doesn't really make sense for us to sell it for $5 a dozen. You know, I know we have the convenience factor of being in the school, but we have to remember that they are our competition and we need to be competitive on our prices. So that's just kind of a really brief overview of pricing related to the restaurant industry.